Welcome, adventurous souls, to a journey that will send shivers down your spine and make your heart race. Today, we're diving into the untamed wilderness of the United States, exploring the top 10 most dangerous and deadly hiking trails. From treacherous terrains to heart-stopping heights, these trails are not for the faint of heart. So, tighten those laces and prepare for a gripping adventure as we count down the trails that push hikers to their limits. Number 10. Denali National Park, Alaska. Alaska is known for extremely remote, rugged terrain teeming with more large mammals than humans. It's also home to Denali, formerly known as Mount McKinley, the highest mountain in North America at 20,194 feet tall. It's the third most remote peak in the world, and summiting its snowy pinnacle is not for beginning hikers or casual tourists. This doesn't quite qualify as a hike, but rather, a mountaineering endeavor. To successfully climb Denali, you'll cut through miles of thick backcountry terrain, brave high winds and icy conditions, cross glaciers, chance encounters with black and grizzly bears, and battle the effects of altitude sickness, all while in extremely remote territory. Number 9. Presidential Traverse, New Hampshire. This 20.4-mile hike traverses some of New Hampshire's highest mountains. On the list of peaks you'll tag is Mount Washington, the highest peak in the Northeast and known for having the worst weather in the world. Really? It once logged 231 miles per hour winds, the current record for the highest wind speed on land, not associated with a hurricane. Mount Washington also receives a lot of precipitation. In 1969, 4 feet of snow fell in less than 24 hours. The White Mountains provide some of the most dangerous hikes in the US because of how fast the weather conditions can change. Number 8. Jack Mountain, North Cascades National Park, Washington. A little-known fact, you are far more likely to die in North Cascades National Park than any other national park. It's one of the least visited parks in the lower 48, despite its rugged wilderness character and close proximity to Seattle. But the park's death rate per capita is 652 per 10 million visitors, nearly 22 times higher than the average. Jack Mountain is one of the most prominent and imposing features that visitors will see along the North Cascades Highway. There is no easy way to the top of the peak, but the standard route climbs the south face and has a lot of Class 4 scrambling, loose rock, and the potential for year-round snow. To complete this difficult route, you'll need proper gear and alpine experience. Not only is the hike highly technical, but you'll also have to adapt to rapid weather changes and challenging navigation. Number 7. Bar Trail, Pikes Peak, Colorado. Colorado is known for its afternoon thunderstorms. So it shouldn't be surprising that Colorado's tallest mountain, Pikes Peak, 115 feet, is a hotbed for lightning and electrical activity. That makes the mountain's Bar Trail especially dangerous. This is a popular route that gains 7,400 vertical feet in 13 miles through terrain mostly above the treeline. The local conditions, the mountain's altitude, the regional air currents, and the winds coming off the plains create conditions that practically invite lightning storms. Colorado leads the nation in deaths by lightning, and Pikes Peak's El Paso County is one of the most struck counties in the state. Since most of the trail is above the treeline, it's essential for visitors to plan accordingly and bail when necessary to avoid hazardous situations. Number 6. Chinitna Bay, Lake Clark National Park, Alaska. If you've ever thought to yourself, I'd like to hike in an area with a massive amount of grizzly bears, then Chinitna Bay and Lake Clark National Park, Alaska is the place for you. Unlike Alaska's other popular bear viewing areas, you're actually allowed to backpack into this dense bear area. But just how many bears are there in Chinitna Bay? The National Park Service has noted that as many as 20 grizzly bears have been in one location at a time. If you're thinking about backpacking here, your best bet is the 25-mile, off-trail hike from Chinitna Bay to Silver Salmon Creek. This trek is stunning, especially if you visit during late summer to early fall when the grizzlies are gorging themselves on fresh salmon in the tidal flats. Just remember to pack a bear canister and bear spray, and study up on tips for traveling in grizzly country. Number 5. Camp Muir, Mount Rainier National Park. This 9-mile round-trip hike to Camp Muir on Mount Rainier starts out innocently enough. You begin on the Skyline Trail, where you can enjoy an array of colorful wildflowers for 2.3 miles. Then, after some climbing, you hit the Muir snowfield. While this section is not quite a glacier, it retains snow year-round. From here, you'll have to navigate 2.2 miles and over 2,900 vertical feet on an unmarked route over the vast white expanse. If you stay on the snowfield, you should be safe. But veer too far left or right and you'll encounter crevasses and cliffs of surrounding glaciers. Sound strenuous? It is, but that's not all that makes this hike dangerous. Unpredictable storms can roll in from the Pacific Ocean and cover the snowfield in dense fog. These whiteout conditions disorient the most experienced hikers, even in the middle of the summer. Hikers will need to come prepared with crampons, an ice axe, proper clothing, and a first aid kit. Number 4, Huckleberry Trail, Glacier National Park. Glacier National Park is home to the highest grizzly bear population density in the lower 48, so backpackers need to take many precautions to stay safe. A recent study found roughly 1 bear for every 3 square miles of park, or about 563 bears total. However, some wildlife biologists think that estimate is low. Huckleberry Mountain is, you guessed it, a thriving grizzly habitat. They come to munch on the calorie-dense fruit that grows along the trails on the slopes of the peak. In fact, bears love this spot so much that the National Park Service often closes the Huckleberry Trail to protect tourists during peak berry season. Still, it's not uncommon for backpackers to encounter a bear on this trail during other times of the year. If you choose to complete this rugged, wild hike in Glacier, be sure to pack bear spray and avoid lingering near food sources. Number 3, Mist Trail and Half Dome Cables, Yosemite National Park. Half Dome is one of the most iconic landforms, not just in Yosemite but in all national parks. 300 visitors a day flock to this huge mass of granite thanks to Yosemite's permit system, but only 50 are allowed to hike up the steep, domed backside to the very top of the geologic formation. The Park Service installed steel cables and wooden planks along the final 400 feet of the climb. This ladder is bolted into the rock to aid hikers, but it doesn't make the route entirely safe. The park's search and rescue team responds to over 250 incidents each year, and at least 13 deaths have occurred on the hike since 2005, making it one of the most dangerous hikes in the US. Also, beware of storms. The rock becomes very slippery and dangerous when it rains. The half-dome cables aren't the only dangerous part of this trek. The Mist Trail, which you hike en route to Half Dome, may also be one of the most dangerous hikes in the US, with over 14 deaths in the last 10 years. Along the trail, hikers also pass the iconic Vernal and Nevada Falls, some of the most beautiful waterfalls in the world. Unfortunately, they've claimed dozens of lives despite signs and railings warning visitors not to approach the water above the falls. Number 2, Capitol Peak Viaduct, the Knife Edge, Colorado. Capitol Peak, in the Elk Range near Aspen, is one of the most rad 14 airs amongst the options of Colorado hikes. Viewed from afar, it's a classic mountain that dominates the horizon. But it's also one of the most exposed and deadly peaks in the country. The Elk Range features some of the highest, most beautiful, and most challenging mountains in the state. Due to its proximity to Denver, the high country has become extremely popular with a growing number of outdoor enthusiasts. However, its high visitation also gives hikers a false sense of confidence. Just a few decades ago, only several people a year would attempt Capitol Peak. In 2017, it claimed 5 lives in just 6 weeks. The infamous section of the hike is the Knife Ridge, a 150-foot-long sharp blade of granite rock with a drop-off of over 1,000 feet on both sides. This section isn't for the faint of heart or the inexperienced. One misstep could send visitors to their death. Experienced climbers may hand-traverse the section to the left of the ridge, while other scramblers choose to straddle the ridge by placing one leg on each side and scooting across. Number 1, Angel's Landing, Zion National Park. Angel's Landing, an iconic hike on many travelers' bucket lists, is one of the most popular hikes in one of the country's most visited national parks. Its popularity is part of the reason why it's so dangerous, but it's also due to its deceptively tame start. However, other hikers may be the most dangerous element on this trail. When you reach the final steep, exposed ridge, be aware of human traffic jams. So how many people have died on Angel's Landing? As of 2021, at least 13 people have died on this trail in Zion since 2000. The first 2.5 miles of the trail are accessible to people of all hiking experience levels. Soon, hikers come to Walter's Wiggles, a section of 21 steep switchbacks that are sure to get you breathing hard. After Scout Lookout, the last turnaround point before the unforgettable views from Angel's Landing itself, the dangerous section is still ahead. The final half-mile to the summit features tight squeezes and exposed drop-offs into the canyon below. While the Park Service has installed chains along the route to help hikers along this spooky section, Angel's Landing is still one of the more dangerous hikes many outdoorists will attempt. If you've hiked any of these trails or have your own harrowing tales to share, drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss our next thrilling adventure.